Welcome to the Super Metroid Randomizer Tournament at SGLIVE 2023. We have a proper banger of a race here between two of the pre-tournament favorites for a lot of people, Zeb316 and Nevdi. And despite the high quality of names we have got in this race, this is actually a race to decide the last person within the top four of the tournament. The winner will be placing at least 4th place. The loser will be going home in 5th, 6th. It's a proper banger, like I said. I am Derp, joined by DJ Webb in just a moment. He's finishing up some dinner. Didn't tell me what he's eating. Maybe he'll grace us with that knowledge when he gets back. And of course, V2 Nitro on the tracking today. We are off. It should also be noted that, as someone mentioned in chat, Nevdi is currently the record holder for number of rooms in Super Metroid Arcade, for those who have been following the adventures of that ROM hack. I believe Nevdi recently got 177 in Time Attack Arcade mode. Or Arcade difficulty, rather. We'll see if he decides to go for any secrets here in this randomizer race or not.
I would be very impressed if secrets popped up in this race, but you know, the Varia devs do lots of amazing things.
Hey, there's no reason not to check, right? You only lose like half a second.
And if you lose a half a second in every room, you know, you're really just flexing on your opponent. You're like, hey, I can beat you any kind of way, right?
Just throw away time for fun. You don't need it. We are going to have our first opportunity at the Alpha Missile room, which has a super missile. Pretty nice. Meanwhile, Nevdi actually going to skip that for now, going over to the bombs that are in the ceiling. So bomb start, how do you feel about that, D-Web?
I think I'm on record as a bombs enjoyer, especially early. They're nice. They make you not have to manage power bombs nearly as much, assuming we get them, which, you know, will happen at some point. But as of yet, nothing.
Hey, there's the secret. Let's go, Nevdi. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're all good. But yeah, I think, especially if you are, well, Nevdi's been running arcade, which isn't exactly vanilla, but you know, you see a lot of rando runners, they have bombs and they'll still use power bombs in places where bombs are faster. So they're also, you know, in some places they're a nice time save, but for now they're going to be, you know, letting us check a few more miners on the way up to maybe get some power bombs, but otherwise, you know, we can still go left to Terminator once we're out of BT. And the other thing that, you know, to some people's chagrin, we will have to fight BT if we check that major there, which I assume we will, but I've been wrong about that assumption before.
Yeah, I think not doing the BT fight is a little bit bold. They have super missiles, so it'll be a really quick fight. 2 missiles and a super will take down BT within a second, basically, so you do need to time your shots properly, since BT's iframes are a little bit different from normal bosses, but it should still be a fairly trivial fight for both players.
I love when we get competing climb strats. We had a wall jump on Zeb's side and Nevdi with some ledge grabs. Some of them, you know, left a little to be desired, but you know, he got up there.
Yeah, I gotta say, Nevdi's arcade practice not doing him too well so far. Zeb pulling out to a slight lead, just off of early game execution.
A pretty rare room, I think, in arcade. It's also the case that unless you, well, I mean, if you come from the bottom, there's 2 doors that are like right there, so you don't need to do the climb, but you know, you could.
Yeah, definitely not something you usually want to do in arcade if you can help it. And there's no reason to, so. Plus you get bonus points for sparking up it, which is cooler anyways. But enough about that.
We are here at BT. We are gonna see what we get. We get our first E-Tank, so we have the three majors we would normally expect, from the vanilla game. Just a little bit of a bombs and E-Tank swap. But we'll be on a little bit of a hunt for power bombs here. We'll see where we end up going and how long it takes to find them. There have been a few seeds where they've been a little bit hard to find this tournament, but by and large, people have them early.
And you see the Bomb Teresa fights were incredibly quick for both runners. Just 2 missiles and a super does the job. So it will depend on what kind of portals we find. Technically, the first portal on the right side of Criteria is in logic, the crab hole. Or one of the 2 crab holes. I still call both crab hole. That and Meridian Map.
Yeah, I've gotten into the habit of Criteria Crab and Meridia Crab, or sometimes Meridia Map, but I don't know. For whatever reason, Crab just kind of feels good to say.
It's a good word, crab. Like top percentile of words to say. But yeah, I also usually say Meridia Map when I'm referring to both, just because I have to distinguish them some way. So we find the pre-lava dive room up in Upper Norfair for Zeb. And Nevdi just a bit behind.
Ooh, and we are over 2 on desirable portals here on the left side of Criteria.
Yeah, pre-aqueduct, not something they can follow. I have to see if either runner wants to follow into Upper Norfair. With only 2 tanks, there's not a lot of places you can go. It's honestly might be the worst portal in Upper Norfair for that, because you have to backtrack all the way to Bubble Mountain just to get somewhere. Even single chamber might be better because they have bombs, because that would put them right in Bubble Mountain instead of having to do it. Well, maybe that's a stretch, but either way, it's not very comfortable, and you see neither runner wants to follow it.
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone wants to do Gauntlet. Bombs are obviously the slowest way to do Gauntlet, but we do have 2 tanks, so that's the logical requirement energy-wise, and we have, a desire to find power bombs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with both runners taking the save, I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them go to Gauntlet. I would have expected it even, but actually looks like neither of them are going to go for it for now. Might be going to check the portal, and potentially if they find like top of West Meridian, might jump down with that safety save. And then if it's nothing, they'll just go back for Gauntlet, and then we'll see what they decide to do from there.
Or we could just have a vanilla transition.
That is possible. And it is what happened. So there are 2 major items here in Red Tower, as well as a lot of portal transitions, and this nice little minor item here, which could be their first power bomb. And that it is.
How very vanilla. As we've already also got a little bit of a... Oh, wow. Nice cleanup there. I was going to say, we had some divergence as far as how we got over to this door. Zeb went top route, Nevdi did the bomb route, and then Nevdi did that transition first. Which is going to pay off because you don't need to follow that, so Nevdi's just going to be able to go through this door where Zeb... I guess... Zeb was probably thinking, it was somewhat unlikely that there was going to be power bombs, and you couldn't have gone through that door that you just blew open with the power bomb, so, I think this was maybe a little... Smarter feels a little degrading, honestly, but it makes sense what Zeb did. That's what I want to say.
I would tend to agree with that. I like checking that item first before checking the portal. I actually would have liked to see Nevdi check the item behind Morph there. It is accessible with bombs. We're actually going to see Nevdi full bail and check the moat portal. This makes sense. You have bombs to get across fairly easily, and it means that you aren't isolating that rightmost Criteria portal. Like, this will give Nevdi full portal knowledge in Criteria, and so if he finds it later, it's not awkward. Meanwhile, we've got Zeb. He's got 2 tanks. This is just enough to do this X-ray deboost and get back. As long as you make it. We'll see if Zeb is able to do it.
Yeah, this is very much the more thorough play on Nevdi's end. It's just odds are I'm gonna say, well, I don't know. It's maybe 50-50 that you can follow this portal, but you probably want to be in Red Tower, I want to say. So it feels like, extra elevator rides, plus, you have to do either CWJ or HBJ, which, as we see, Nevdi is struggling to do as we speak. And then, like I think probably you're going back to Red Tower. I mean, maybe this puts you somewhere else in Red Tower, and then the middle gets awkward, but who knows? We'll see how this goes. But
I mean, the idea is, even if it's not something you can follow, which it looks like that's the case for Nevdi, since it was front of LN. Now Nevdi knows that if he when he finds the back of LN, he knows he won't have to go to the front, which is actually pretty good knowledge, but it was a very significant time cost to get all that.
significant it was. Significant was also the risk that Zeb was taking over there in the X-ray room coming back. Down to 50 health, which meant Spikes would have been a KO with a save back at the ship, and it was only a reserve tank, so you would have gotten the knowledge that you maybe wanted, but not dying is good, and rewarded with a full health refill down here at Spacer.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't have been the end of the world dying for Zeb, especially since he knows that the other portal at the top of Red Tower and this middle portal, which we saw was Turian, he knows that he can just skip checking both of those since they're both dead ends that he doesn't need to bother with for now. So it wouldn't have been too costly, but Zeb was able to handle it, even at 1 hit. And now he is off to check the rest of the portals here at the bottom.
Yeah, and Nevdi doesn't have full health currently, so he has opted to not go here. Zeb finds Crocomire here.
I like doing Croc in this situation.
Definitely an interesting play. I want to say that I know a lot of people have been talking about, first item Croc having quite a bit of value. The second item is the really, out of the way long check. But health is you can make it there and back, but it's a little bit risky. And, I think I would rather save, but that, entails watching the whole death and all of that stuff, which it looks like it's what Zeb's doing. He's here for keeps.
Yeah, Zeb not going to check that item just yet. Obviously, the door is unlocked, so you can beat the first stage of Croc and then not wait for this cutscene. You can just bail if you wanted to. Looks like Zeb, as you mentioned, is in for the long haul. Either that or not comfortable jumping across with just power suit and 350 energy, which is enough, but it's still a little bit scary.
And drops make him comfortable enough, which is interesting. Oh, that's nice. It's a plasma. Nevdi came here immediately, so it looks like we're synced, funnily enough. And like I said, with going through the entirety of the animation to kill Crocomire, it makes a little more sense for Zeb to stay here as he does. But Nevdi looks like he's leaving. Yeah. So as well as the X-ray skip, this is some pretty nice divergence time-wise.
Yeah, it makes sense for Nevdi. Obviously, had the costly trip across Moat that didn't really gain anything, at least not in the short term. And skipping X-ray anyways means that there's more likelihood that Nevdi has to just come back to Red Tower anyways. So if that's the case, then Nevdi can also route in the second item of Croc fairly comfortably. It's still pretty slow, but it's not the end of the world if Nevdi has to do that.
That is true. And Zeb coming here, either valued his supers or just wanted to bomb jump. And maybe this is faster if you do it really nicely. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we have a bomb jump.
That E-tank is actually pretty big for Zeb.
It really is. That the portals down here have basically told us 50 full stop that our progression for the rest of the seed is in Norfair, whether that is, you know, area transitions or items or both. That's where we're going. I mean, frankly, transition wise, that literally has to be the case because we can't do anything in Lower Norfair, we can't do anything in East Meridian, we can't do anything in West Meridian. So yeah, Nevdi has taken the refill here, shout out to Slutters, and is gonna clean up this X-ray now, and then hopefully, you know, I mean, he has all of the knowledge, right? Like he knows that the answer is Norfair.
Yeah, I mean, that was the fourth logical tank that Zeb could have gotten. Obviously got the X-ray out of logic, but if, say, Gauntlet's like a Spring Ball or X-ray or something, then it's possible that that is just the logic. You get all 4 E-tanks and then go into Upper Norfair. And so once Zeb finds his Aqueduct here at the tube portal, he's probably just going to double back to single chamber and go into Upper Norfair. We'll see what Zeb decides to do from there. I expect him to actually go straight to Business Center, but he might decide to check the Croc portal. He might actually decide to do the Bubble Mountain items, even though they're a little bit slow with this little energy and no Varia or Speed Booster or anything to make them more comfortable. But we'll see what Zeb decides to do.
I would expect Bubble Mountain items, just because getting back over to this side, like you said, no Varia, no movement, would be a little bit rough. But yeah, I mean, you know, checking them and skipping them both have their downsides. As Nevdi does end up getting these X-ray debuffs, gonna be getting this reserve tank, and yeah, the way that Zeb has done things, especially with, you know, the little more thorough and that reward of an E-tank at Croc, his health situation is way better for these hell runs that we're in.
Yeah, there's also been a little bit of execution mishaps from Nevdi. It took him a few tries to get the D-boost across to X-ray, and obviously took him a couple tries to CWJ as well. So that's not helping Nevdi either, but I imagine we see Nevdi going down into Upper Norfair anyways. Obviously, 1 tank short since he didn't get the tank behind Crocmeyer, or at Grapple rather. But I don't think there's really anything else Nevdi wants to do. And yeah, we're going to see him go back down. It looks like he's headed to single chamber.
Yeah, his other options are like Gauntlet. That's it.
And I mean, too unreasonable. You could go Gauntlet and then route that into Gravitron, and then that puts you in Upper Norfair. You could go like across the Croc, or you could go into Bubble Mountain proper. There's a few options from there, but it is another detour that Nevdi can't really afford. He's already a little bit behind positionally.
Yeah. So Zeb doing the run to Bubble Mountain, didn't do wave on the way in, does do the speed booster major first, gets an E-tank, so current health is going to be pretty good. I don't, obviously without a pause, we're not going to know for sure how full the reserve is that Zeb has, but I think it should be pretty full. He was definitely doing some farming post getting that 4th E-tank, so there's definitely some
may have
stuff
been full for a while, actually. I think Zeb was extra careful there just to make sure it was full. But I wasn't quite paying close enough attention. Didn't quite get the D-boost though. That's a little rough. At least Zeb has bombs to make it up.
He's gonna, yeah, he likes to do this. This jump is basically the same jump as in the Lower Norfair room called worst room in the game, and when you don't have high jump, it's really, 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 really tight.
Frame perfect,
so yeah.
And pixel perfect, I believe.
So yeah, as you saw, it took a few tries, but Zeb got it.
It's probably about as fast as it would have been bomb jumping, but you know.
And we do see Nevdi going wave first and rewarded with the tank.
I think I like going wave first in this situation. I would have liked it from Zeb as well, but obviously wasn't a huge deal.
Ooh. So a little bit of a dip in the lava there. Saw that super. This is one of those minors that, I mean, getting high jump actually extremely helpful for this because you know you're gonna break the lava.
Yeah, it gets you enough height to actually get out of the lava when you get the minor item. And actually,
Yeah.
Zeb didn't save like Nevdi did before entering Upper Norfair, so that makes a lot more sense why Nevdi checked wave first. Because even if it wasn't an E-tank and Nevdi couldn't make it out, then he still had to save. So actually, Zeb didn't have that luxury, which is why we saw Zeb go speed first.
Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit more efficient for Nevdi, just because he's not going to have. Well, he's not. We'll see what his current health is once he's done with the reserve room. But if you want to post that, you can just go down to Nutella and refill your health there, where Zeb is having to do this final refill before going to wave. So I think that's going to be some time save from Nevdi.
Yeah, Nevdi should be able to skip a farm, which is actually pretty significant. Depends on how well he executes the reserve tank room, though. He may actually have to do some farming in Bubble Mountain just to get enough health to actually get down to Nutella refill.
But yeah, 2 tanks and high jump boots here, which is, in a Hell Run scenario, you're obviously very happy about the high jump, and you're happy that, the tanks were E-tanks and not reserve tanks, so they actually refilled your health. So, not a terrible outcome. We'll see, we'll see how needed high jump boots are in the sea, but they're always useful.
Yeah, you're never sad to find high jump, really. At least you could argue, like, if you're playing against someone who's a lot better execution-wise, and you find, like, high jump and speed, you're like, well, they're just going to move way faster.
Way faster.
I think in a situation like this, Zeb and Nevdi are fairly comparable in terms of movement, just overall. So they're just happy to have the increased mobility through the game, for sure.
Yeah, if you've ever played this game without high jump boots, you very quickly notice that the game was designed for you to have them very, very early on. That's kind of how the developers made the game. So it's how the game is, meant to be enjoyed.
It turns out the developers did intend you to get all of the items, or at least all the big items. Except maybe Spring Ball. That was a bonus.
Bonuses are good. We like bonuses. Interested in the fact that Zeb took his first save here in Bubble Mountain, but he did it prior to picking up these missiles. I don't really anticipate a reset here. It's just kind of like, when I see a save and then a minor pickup, I'm like, what if you reset that? But like I said, I kind of don't expect it. It's just interesting.
Yeah, this is enough health for Nevdi to get the gate glitch. Actually going to save, just in case, but just with slightly better Bubble Mountain routing, Nevdi's actually caught up quite a bit to Zeb, even being down knee tank.
Down knee tank, also down that super in the room of the Norfair Reserve, which contributes to his current health, which, so, give and take, as there always is here in Randomizer. So we'll see, if charge shows up, that's going to be pretty inconsequential, depending on how bosses show up and when. We'll see how much a super matters, but definitely something to keep an eye on, as we find a green Bryn Star here. That is very nice, and we're rewarded with finding, one of the ends at first, not the middle. The middle, you don't want to find the middle first. It's just annoying. You got to come down here and then you got to go back.
Yeah, definitely annoying. I think you're still probably pretty happy to find Green Bryn, though, in this situation. Still pretty far away from comfortable items to complete the game. The high jump does help if they find Varia and like Ice Beam. That puts them really close to being able to do like a suitless or a gravity-less seed. But finding Green Bryn is a lot of items that will get them closer to that go mode that they are looking for. Nevdi almost skipping the tube missile, and that's a power bomb, so it's something Nevdi really wants.
And here's movement item number 2. Space jump, always nice to have.
Yep. Another kind of underrated item for gravity-less Meridia. Gets you across Coliseum, which can be really annoying otherwise, especially if you don't have like grapple or something similar. Grapple or Ice Beam, I guess, would be the two that are you would need to get across. both of these runners are capable of doing suitless CF clips, and I believe they're both capable of doing the underwater wall jump through Cack Alley as well, so getting through East Meridia without Ice Beam is very much in both runners' wheelhouse. Just something to keep in mind as we continue to search this green Brinstar for whatever we can find.
You're skipping a few steps. You're like the smart kids in math who just write down the answer. You're not showing your work. You got to get there. You got to do a bunch of stuff first before we are thinking about Meridia. We need something a little bit better. We don't have Dragon dead. That's part of some of the equations. We don't know where the back of East is.
Yeah, there is still the small but distinct possibility that Kraid's lair is at the back of East, which would make things a little bit annoying. There's actually the possibility that it's at the back of LN, which would be really annoying. It would force you to do a front-to-back to front LN, basically. But once again, I might be getting a little too ahead of myself.
Yeah, so you've got a screw attack here. Shoutouts to, the items that make the game better. Being available to our runners relatively early. Missing out on some suits. We probably also like a speed booster, but we got some mobility, some power. Both screw attack and plasma. We got the space jump. We got high jump boots. We're looking mighty good. We've upped our power bomb count significantly as well. At the cost of no supers so far in Green Brinstar. That's something you see every day.
Yeah, 3 powerbomb packs so far in Green Brinstar is definitely what the runners wanted to see. There's a 4th one under the bridge.
Yeah, this was like the place that would make that super skip that Nevdi did matter a whole lot less, and somehow that hasn't happened. Here's we've got 3 minors to check left. These were 2 of them, and we found 1 super so far. So could be big because when we finally find a boss area that we can go to and do some stuff with. Ridley's killable for runners this good, and Zeb's gonna have an extra 5 supers, which is huge in that fight, with or without Varia, but especially without.
At this point, those 5 supers are what makes Ridley doable. Honestly, I don't think Nevdi has quite enough missiles. You'd have to use a bunch of power bombs, which is not going to go too well when you have 5 E-tanks and no Varia.
Yeah, there's been some differences in our runners. Zeb, I guess only 1 more item check. And
yeah, I guess this super missile here is enough, but just barely.
Yeah. Zeb did grapple, Nevdi didn't. Nevdi did the moat transition, which Zeb hasn't. As, of course, this takes us exactly where we wanted to be. But, yeah, some extra stuff. Oh!
I would probably do the Bubble Mountain checks first.
Yeah, at first I was like, why is Zeb wavering? And then I was like, actually, you should have wavered. Because, what do you do here? This is not... Well, I don't think there's a right answer here.
Yeah, your way out of Upper Norfair is going through Hellrun, so theoretically going down and then back up, even though it gives you 2 item checks for this boss, which could potentially be like Dragon or Ridley, you are adding a lot of time with those 2 elevator transitions. Nevdi's actually just going to take the 2 items, not even going to check the portal yet.
Yeah, ooh, wow. This could be a very big time save. It could not matter at all as well, This is Fan 2.
Zeb can pretty comfortably kill any boss. I guess Dragon isn't comfortable by any means, but he has enough ammo to do a Crystal Flash. It is possible. Even if it's not the thing you want to do.
If it's one of those late game bosses that, like you said, Zeb can do them, but they might not be the fastest thing ever, there's 2 items for a suit. If one of them is Varia, and this is Ridley, Zeb's gonna be slower. That's just a fact.
Hey, speaking of that Varia, guess what Nevdi has just stumbled across?
It's Fantoon though, so like I said, not gonna matter.
Yeah, ends up paying off a little bit for Zeb. Gonna be able to skip those 2 elevator transitions up and down the business center elevator. So that's 30 seconds. It's non-trivial.
It's also the case that you're not hull running to get out of here anymore, so Zeb can just, leave. Wait a minute. Either we're getting suitless items or the answer is lower Norfair, right? Like, portal wise, that's like it. We haven't seen Wreck Ship.
They can get to bottom of West Meridia from Pre-Aqueduct.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the other option would be Lower Norfair, and this does put Lower Norfair in logic, and honestly, it's not even that uncomfortable with Varia, with Screw Attack, with High Jump. This is not too bad of a LN at all.
Yeah, very, very nice. But the interesting thing about that, like, I mean, you said it, right, with the, West Meridia possibilities. Nevdi knows where Lower Norfair is. Zeb does not. That could be massive here.
Yeah, the thing is, it's kind of a double-edged sword for Nevdi, because what he wants to not go back to that front of LN, because he wants to just do back-to-back. But that front of LN, from Nevdi's perspective, is the only thing that is in logic, most likely. I guess the odds that the bottom, the Main Street portal in West Meridia leads to something doable is pretty high, but you still don't have a way back out.
Well, you know where map is, so you're always getting out.
Map out.
Yeah. But
I mean, really weird situation.
Yeah, we will see, because Lower Norfair probably the next thing that we want, because obviously runners are capable of getting the Mama Turtle item with just high jump, but it is not in logic with their item set. The way that it works, basically, it wants you to be able to get to that item from the bottom of the zone, and high jump alone is not enough to do that. So that's not the next, that's not where the logic is telling them to go. It could be the answer, because, there's an Ice Beam or a Spring Ball somewhere that we can access, but, the Traversal is, I think Traversal should be in logic, just getting from Pre-Aqueduct to Main Street.
I think that's where Zeb's going to go, honestly. You think of how the map works out. Either he's going all the way to Bubble Mountain and then all the way up Red Tower to check Moat Portal, or he goes Gravitron. That puts him on the left side of Criteria, and then the other door leads him to Pre-Aqueduct. I think that's where Zeb's going. I think he's going to Main Street once he does this item check. I didn't see what this was earlier.
Just a tank.
I guess that makes sense. That's how Nevdi was caught up here in this boss fight.
Ooh.
Almost a 2-round.
Yeah. We're pausing and turning high jump on.
High jump. When did that happen?
Quite unsure.
Unknown.
I don't know what could you have done so far in this seed that would have been better with high jump off? That's the real question. Oh, X-ray. That's what.
No, he got high jump after doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we have high jump after?
Was it to get out of Ice Beam? I don't know.
He turned it off for Fantoon himself. He's really, really new route pilled, apparently.
He's really new route pilled.
So
Zeb's actually gonna skip it. 25. That already gives Zeb 2 crystal flashes. And with Varia, we don't really need crystal flashes all that much.
Zeb's apparently been listening to my commentary when I've called some people quite gluttonous for their powerbomb pickups in situations such as these, so I appreciate you, Zeb. Always nice to have a fan on the screen.
Zeb's thinking about where to go. He was doubling back to single chamber initially, but looks like he's actually going to go to Gravitron. Like I said, he's going to Main Street.
Yeah, and I mean, the other option is in Criteria as well, so like this is kind of the key to both locations. So we will see. And
I would have taken the Bubble Mountain save though. Well, that's not true. There's a Pre-Aqueduct save.
Yeah. Nevdi also says no to those power bombs. He has one less. I don't know where, but he does have one less. So yeah, we're gonna see if Nevdi just says, "Hey, Lower Norfolk, here I come," or if he also follows this. The one thing you can say for pretty certain, as Nevdi has your idea, he's taking the save. Is that like the very, very worst outcome for Nevdi is like Lower Norfolk doesn't have the keys to the city, and the front of it is the back of East Meridia, because then, like, you're just moving slowly for a little bit. But other than that, like all the other options are pretty good. Like we need to find both sides of wreck ship, and otherwise it's bringing you into West Meridia, where you already know where that is. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like Nevdi also going into Main Street though. Also, this Mama Turtle check is available and pretty easy with Space Jump.
Just a vanilla tank though. Definitely didn't have to collect that, I'm gonna say. you already had a full row. You have high jump, space, and screw attack, so like what's gonna deal damage to you besides the potential reverse acid dive? Which isn't happening this seed, I'm gonna boldly claim. Except for, the scenario I just talked about, but Zeb's an E-Tank collector, that I will say. He's on the record saying that he thinks that even when you're at this stage, they have value that some people maybe don't see.
I mean, if you have more health, you can be a lot more reckless through the game. So, in theory, you can go faster.
For the low cost of 6.66 seconds.
And that is the worst case. We've got the back of East here at Main Street, so...
And Zeb's
going back
Zeb's save is a lot closer to where you want to be. Because he saved here. I don't think Nevdi did. I think Nevdi just has the Bubble Mountain save.
Yeah, Nevdi did take the Bubble Mountain save, so we're probably going to see Nevdi reset and then go single chamber and then up red tower. We might also see Nevdi do the second item of Croc. It's not unreasonable. I think you probably don't want to be doing it, and you want to just cut your losses if that's exactly gravity, but it's not unreasonable.
I want to say that if Lower Norfair is your plan, it should still be faster to just come here and go through criteria rather than climbing Red Tower. But it's something I want to say. It's not something I'm certain about. Feels right.
I think you might be right.
Front of East Meridia, I think you
are right.
Is at the tube, Simo. Which, if you squint your eyes and pull out your magnifying glass, you can see there in the middle of our screen. So yeah, Zeb is about to come here, and he knows that this is something he can do. He doesn't know if it's Lower Norfolk or Wreck Ship. From his perspective, those are the only two places he hasn't seen, and there's a transition between them, and the other one is at the top of Redfish. So
yeah, we basically know the map. We just don't know the orientation of Wreck Ship, whether the front of ship is at the back of LN or if it's at Redfish. But for all intents and purposes, both runners know the map, with Zeb finding front of LN here.
I'm going to boldly assert that this is the better option because checking screw attack is like 100 times more guilt-free from this direction, but I have a feeling one of them skipping it.
Well, if you're in a situation where you're still looking for gravity, you're probably checking screw attack from either direction.
Ooh.
I don't hate this gauntlet play. I don't love it, though.
Ray's situation rise, I think charge and speed are the best outcomes, and maybe ice is third.
Yeah, speed is really good. Actually, I think Nevdi's mainly hoping for ice or spring ball, and there is spring ball.
I was going to change my tone and say that ice might have been top two. I don't know what I was kicking out of between charge and speed, but spring ball was definitely fourth. And that's what it was.
Like I said, in theory, that can get Nevdi all the way through East Meridia. So Nevdi has Screw Attack to get across Coliseum, it's got Spring Ball to get out of Precious Room and out of Dragon, and then it's just either an underwater wall jump or a suitless Crystal Flash Flip, which are both hard tricks, but are both things that Nevdi is capable of doing.
One of those requires Dragon to not be vanilla, so we'll see about that one. But yeah, this is potentially that could have been huge. I feel like it's actually pretty unlikely because we're going through LM, we're checking the items here, and then we're going to end up in Wreck Ship, and it's on, right? So the answer's in front of us, no matter what, right?
Yeah, I would actually like to see Nevdi skip the Screw Attack check here, though, because in theory for Nevdi, this is like he can get through the game. So a slow check like Screw Attack, which isn't guaranteed to be anything, is probably worth skipping in his situation. Obviously, I'd still check a shorter check like the Fire Flea that we see Zeb doing right now, but I'd like to see Nevdi skip Screw here.
Ooh, the other thought that just entered my mind exactly right now, Dragon down here, that Spring Ball's great.
Yeah. That will take Zeb a lot longer. He can get a flash suit to get out, but it is, like you said, a lot less comfortable and more importantly, a lot slower.
And depending on, some RNG stuff and, with the grab and whatnot, Crystal Flashing drains your ammo, and ammo is their only way to kill a Dragon down here. So, that's also a factor. So yeah, that's a catcher upper on Nevdi's side if this is Dragon. Did Zeb save? I'm assuming maybe?
Zeb saved.
Okay, yeah. I agree with saving there. It's
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's no guarantee that you're completing a no gravity, forced Crystal Flash suit escape Dragon first try.
Maybe he misses 17 supers on Ridley and can't finish the fight. Who knows?
That too. We do not have the charge beam. But yeah, speaking of not having the charge beam, we were at a pretty good pre-Green Brinstar ammo count, and then we found Green Brinstar and we got one super. So we're actually we could be in better scenarios. The Ellen Escape has some of the better on the way miners. So we'll see where we are going into Wreck Ship, and Wreck Ship is on, so there's one additional pretty carefree miner check in left super than there could be. But the other carefree one is it's less carefree when the spikes are on. Shout out to Spooky Missiles.
This vanilla Ridley is really good for Zeb. There's a very low chance that gravity isn't behind him. Like, there was a possibility that this is Kraid, and then gravity's at Kraid Closet, and then obviously there's the possibility that it's Dragon, and you're just supposed to go straight to ship. But with Ridley here, this is probably the best case for Zeb. He knows that gravity is somewhere in front of him. Like you said, there's nowhere else it can be.
Yeah, Kraid is
either that or
the
he
big
finds
wild
Ice and
card.
Grapple. He could find Ice and Grapple, and then Botwoon could be it. But hey, there's Grapple. That's also pretty big, because now Zeb can just do Dragon at once he finds it in Wreck Ship. If he finds it in Wreck Ship. Still possible to trade.
There goes almost any Spring Ball advantage. That grapple being fine. So yeah, it's looking like it's the positional lead looks like it is the lead pretty much here.
Well, if they don't find speed and it's great at Dragon, then Nevdi still has a way out.
Ooh.
And Zeb doesn't. But we're getting into really specific situations.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Probably not going to happen, given that their runners are most likely to find gravity in the near future.
Yeah. I guess we will know, pretty shortly if it is in fact Kraid there. Yeah, Kraid's the one thing where it's like, if what am I trying to say? If Dragon's vanilla, obviously you have your exit strategies that near and dear to your heart. If Ridley's there, there's the gravity jump option because of the same facing doors. Fan 2 is the one where you have to be able to exit Precious Room, you know, on its own. And then there's Kraid, which, you know, no gravity jump, but, you know, the little nuance of a speed booster exit.
Yeah, we say all these things, but gravity is almost certainly going to be somewhere in wrecked ship. There is possibility that there's like Kraid at ship and then gravity at Kraid closet. That is still something that could happen.
There's also the speed booster outstanding, so you know.
There is the speed booster, but if Zeb finds speed booster, then that's his way. Unless I guess it could be Kraid there and then speed booster somewhere in ship. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the weird scenarios that could happen, and there aren't a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because if it's speed booster, Zeb can just get out of Precious Room. If it's Kraid at Dragon, is what I was about to say.
Yes. And we are at a 65-40 ammo right now for Zeb. Nevdi gonna be definitely one super behind. I don't know about the missiles if they're equivalent. But given that
I think Nevdi is just a super behind. Should be 55-40 or 50. Yeah, 55-35. Because it was a power bomb at Ruby missile, right?
I wasn't paying attention to the Hoda Miner. Sorry.
Neither was I. Oh, not the power bomb there in jail.
Yeah. You figured out the wreck ship pathing. The back of Ellen is the front of wreck ship, so the back of wreck ship is the top of West Meridia. These miners are both vanilla.
Oh, okay. So Nevdi is a missile ahead. Or
no, missile behind and a super behind.
Missile behind. For some reason I was thinking it looked like Zeb had 55.
And it is Dragon here. Ooh. So
that grapple putting in work. Although, if Zeb didn't have grapple, good chance that he checks the items before going to the boss.
Yeah, honestly, and you know, people give me a lot of flack for some of the things I say about item checks. Right super first feels like it made sense to me. Like, you know, doing this fight is not a question. I'm sure Zeb's gonna do it. But you find gravity and it's faster by, you know, a small margin, but a margin nonetheless.
What is Zeb doing?
He's not doing the crit grapple, that's for sure.
He's not doing the slow grapple either. I'm not. Is he just setting up for another one?
Nevdi caught up on supers. Shout out to the ocean.
Yeah, Zeb's not getting that one.
His positioning is interesting here. Because, like, you do this and, like, the goo might not goo. It did, but it didn't, you know.
It worked out eventually.
He got some pretty good RNG, I'm going to say. As far as,
I would not say that, actually.
No,
He did get, like,
on
6
the goo pattern, yeah, not the swoops. The swoops were terrible. That was, you saw it on his face if you were watching specifically his face cam.
I may have skipped this check, honestly. It can't be gravity. Well,
I was going to say the ice beam would give you information as far as gravity not being at Bot's wound, so that is useful. But charge beam also useful. Looks like Nevdi also found this super, and the charge is going to make
a little punished if he makes the check behind Dragon.
A little bit of unfortunate. It's Nevdi. I wanted to see right super first. I'm just gonna say it. Oh yeah, and CEO points out as well with the idea of suitless East Meridia on your mind. That's also a pretty good check for Zeb because you can't get out of Precious right now if you're Zeb.
Well, the thing is, you know that gravity is either going to be in ship or in Bot's wound because it can't be behind Kraid closet because Kraid is at the back of East Meridia.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess if it's speed locked, speed gets you out of Kraid, so
I don't know, maybe maybe finding Ice Beam. The possibility that you can find Ice Beam there is good enough reason to check it, but I don't like it. I don't like the check. I think Nevdi... No, Nevdi's going to skip it.
Ooh. Like I think exactly ice is reason enough to check, because like I said, if it's ice, you know gravity's not at Batoon. So yeah, charge beam found, and that's another advantage on Zeb's side that he frankly hasn't needed this seed. You know, he's been ahead pretty much the whole time, and that gravity's pretty much gonna seal the deal because yeah, Zeb's no longer checking minors, and
a lot of supers here in Wreck Ship, though, is keeping
Nevdi is close, but
it's not going to matter. Zeb would have to make some pretty bad mistakes for Nevdi to catch up in this situation.
The other thing is, whoa. Right super skip? That's bold. It's going to work out.
I might have forgot about it.
Possible, but yeah.
Either that, or Nevdi's actually planning on routing this in first and then just going back for everything else if this isn't it. Maybe this is calculated. I think he just forgot it, though. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think he forgot. Yeah.
Whoa, he's go-moding. Even more crazy.
Like
he's
I said,
a madman.
I don't hate it. I don't
like it. I'm not gonna mince my words. I don't like it. It's so likely to just be right in front of you.
Yeah, the odds of gravity being in ship are really high. Like, almost 100% in that situation, because it had to be either there or Baltoony tank. And I think Nevdi knew that. So not checking anything in ship is kind of bold. I guess there is the possibility that it's speed and then it's like waterway or something, but...
Yeah, he didn't know fully because of the cross skip Chad is pointing out, but like,
oh yeah, the cross skip.
It was so likely to be in front of you.
I don't know. I think you have to assume that the croc skip is nothing in that situation, because if it's gravity, like, you lose anyways, in theory. Unless you're thinking your opponent also skipped second item croc, which isn't that unreasonable for Zeb to do. I don't know. I still probably would have played like it's nothing and then checked ship.
And now we're doing suitless West Meridian miners. Like if that's on the on the table while I'm committing to skipping gravity, I think my equation is adding a new variable. I'm solving for X, Y, and Z.
Nevdi saw Mama Turtle, just to clarify. Nevdi knows that is not gravity.
Yeah, we both came in here a little bit ago, and we decided that, well, we couldn't get back up to the top, so we reset. That was the decision.
Well, it wasn't so much a decision as much as it was just a fact. They had no way up.
A decision was made.
They could have taken Crab Hole, or Meridian, that rather.
Who the decision was made by is up for debate. The runner's the seed, a little bit of both. But yeah.
It's alright, we're gonna see an Uwu jump. Nevdi's not gonna win, but he is gonna Uwu jump, so.
What if he doesn't?
That would be messed up. Where else are you?
I mean, you could go on and cross the flash clip.
I guess. He actually goes back to Red Tower through Aqueduct and then checks second item croc. Wait a moment. This is the route we've been waiting for.
Oh! I'm looking at the current super count. It says 0, so that may be why we have a crate stand up. But I did see him try. I did see him try to shoot a missile at the end. I don't know if that would have killed or not. But he definitely became aware of his situation at the end. And yeah, you were talking about the skips and whatever. The charge beam is important for both the ammo not being necessary for Zeb, and also with that skip of a major there behind crate. Now everyone has a Zeb skip, so that's another place where charge is great because you kill the Zebs and you're fine.
Yeah, I guess that is
the Zebs and you cry.
Another reason to check behind Dragon, because that gives you, it could potentially give you a Zeb skip even if it doesn't put anything in logic. Well, there's a Zeb skip, so it doesn't really matter. I think Nevdi will get that. As usual, we try to make a point, and it no longer matters.
And the person who it didn't matter for is the one who picked it up. That's also always how it works.
Of course, of course.
Okay, so let's see how Nevdi does at this. He was not doing great at the wall jumps in the previous room, but he's looking better here.
Oh, that was close. Just needed 1 or 2 more wall jumps. There he goes. Not even that long. Only 4 tries, was that?
Yeah, no, he literally did better in this room than the previous room. We're gonna have to talk to Nevdi about doing better.
Which room is really the hard room? Question.
That too. But yeah, Nevdi has successfully made it through the bottleneck of the beginning of this area, and we're gonna get to see a crade kill and then a spring ball jump. Our runners are showing us everything in this seed, between the two of them.
Yeah, that was basically the last hard trick for Nevdi. Everything else is fairly trivial. Getting back to Aqueduct isn't too hard with space jump and grapple, and then it's just a run to Turian. But unfortunately, Zeb, with the charge beam and the gravity suit, is in a little bit of a better position, you could say.
Little bit. And
2 for 2 on great stand-ups though.
Most powerful boss. It's Kraid. This is
he's the biggest. That means he's the most powerful, right?
Now you have me curious on the size comparison of Kraid and Dragon.
It's Kraid by a good amount, at least going by sprite. Technically, Phantoon can grow even bigger if you go by lore, depending on if you count other MS canon, which is another story.
Well, canon isn't really up for debate. It's more the quality that's up for debate. But this isn't the place to discuss such things. This is the place to discuss, a baby skill without speed, which is going to be attempted by Zeb.
Yeah, it's not something I've put a ton of practice into, but from people who are good at it, they say it's not that difficult. It's basically just a different first jump to get into a better position, because your speed here is different. But after that, your momentum is basically the same. We'll see if Zeb's able to get into a good spot.
We've got a good amount of lag, that's for certain.
Oh yeah.
Shoutouts to lag.
And there it is.
Yeah, Zeb is in a very, very commanding position. He's been in the lead pretty much all seed. And finding the gravity suit, really thrust him, into overdrive.
Zeb, is he gonna go for the second one? Okay.
Shoutouts to the down back.
Shoutouts to the GT Classic skip. Nevdi, of course, getting that ice beam as well.
Ooh. We're 6550. That's a missile away. In theory, if you do some door refills, but because we're also missing, well, he got Zeb skip, so yeah, he needs like another missile. And I'm not particularly sure where he's getting it.
I could check like right sandpit. It's not good, but it's a minor item that is collectible. You could also actually go into Croc just for minor items.
Oh, but he has your idea, right sandpit. Oh,
unless, yeah, I actually probably would do the Croc thing. Like, if Croc PB is the super, then you don't even need to do that much backtracking. Obviously, that's kind of a big if, but at this point, in this situation, Nevdi probably knows that he's not winning. I would have to guess.
Well, yeah. know is a strong word, but have a pretty good inkling. I would say, things didn't go great, and you did Studious Meridia that you don't know was required, and it wasn't super fast.
I mean, what does Nevdi think Zeb could have gotten caught up on?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Varia was in a fairly reasonable position. Like, Nevdi could have assumed, like, Zeb, instead of going to Croc Portal, just went straight to Business Center, but that doesn't... He still ends up with Varia suit and ends up getting to Green Brin.
Yeah, that pathing is arguably better.
Honestly, I think it is, yeah. It routes you straight back into the heated half of Upper North Fair, which is where you want to be. And just jump across
5-6 chance we're good here, and we're the 1/6. Is Nevdi going to... He's going to check Retro Powerbomb Miner. You called for this, when we saw it.
I called for this 55 minutes ago.
It was a missile, and like I said, that is enough with some door refills for Nevdi, but he's going to be, I don't know, maybe at the baby, but maybe still in Metroid rooms when Zeb hits that done. We'll see. Nah, Metroids. That's my call. No, he doesn't have speed. He'll be at the baby.
I don't think so. I guess Nevdi does have Ice Beam, but I think Zeb still finishes, like, as Nevdi is finishing Metroid Room 4 or so.
The real race going down here. Oh, he paused to turn off screw attack. Now you're right. I didn't anticipate this time loss.
How could I have expected this? Yeah, unfortunately, Nevdi doesn't get to do the cool Zeb skip on account of it costing ammo that he doesn't have.
That is true. That is true. He's also taking it real easy here. Another place where gravity saves time. Metroid Room 1.
Yeah, it's not something you think about, but the acid does slow you down, in fact.
Ooh. Maybe you can answer this, Derp. Which runner is more experienced overall in Super Metroid? I know the answer in Randomizer. Overall in Super Metroid, it's probably still Zeb, but...
Yeah, I mean, Zeb has done so much more rando than pretty much anyone else. As we see him finish with an official time of 101.52. He is up 1-0 in the best of 3. But yeah, Zeb has done a lot of rando seeds and a lot of rando tournaments across, all seasons of Rando League, all seasons of SM Rat.
He was in Season 1 League? Thought that might have been before his time.
I think so.
He's in chat, he can tell us. I know he was in 2, but I'm not sure about 1. I wasn't around for 1, but...
I don't think he did very good, but I think he was in Season 1.
He may have left chat. They are getting ready to start race number 2 here very shortly. But yeah.
Of course, the 10-minute delay means that'll be starting in 10 minutes and a few seconds for Zeb to ready up, it looks like. Nevdi also forfeit from the race, which is why he is just chilling, waiting for game 2, which is, as we mentioned, coming up in just a few minutes. So
we'll take a look at a speed booster location in X-ray for Beefy's sake, but
gotta see the X-ray for Beefy, of course.
Other than that, yeah, we will be taking a break here pretty shortly. Runners are on their way in 3, 2, 1, and yeah, this is a best of 3 series. We may or may not have mentioned that at the start, and all 3 games, if necessary, are going to be tonight. So, some late night evening Super Metroid. I was gonna try and find a way to put matinee in there, but this is literally the opposite of matinee, so I don't know. I like fancy words. Some people may know that.
I mean, I'm a fancy word enjoyer, a savant, if you will.
Connoisseur, even.
Connoisseur. You need to just make the credits take like 30 seconds. Zeb didn't pause at all. That's kind of crazy, actually. How often do you see that?
That is kind of crazy, isn't it? No gravity jumps, no spring ball jumps, no manual reserve refills. He didn't have to turn anything off for X-ray because it was super early. So yeah, we're looking for a speed booster and an X-ray scope. Does it say scope in the credits? Speed was its left hand parent. It does. And shout out to Shaq Tool. Ooh, another one in the chat. Aficionado. We're having a lot of fun here tonight. But yeah, it's gonna do it for game 1. We will be back here in about 8 minutes for game number 2.
See you then.